Cue dope intro.
Give you my heart.
So what's up, guys? When I was making a video recently about the dark web, it occurred to me that it would be useful, I think, to make a video about what are called DNMs, or darknet markets. And before I get into that, let me just kind of like disclaimer here. I'm not going to give you a link to any of these DNMs that I know of. So please don't ask. Please don't put a comment. Hey, how do you log on to these sites, or how do you get onto these sites? I'm not going to provide that, but I will talk about what they are and, provide some sort of glimpse into the world of basically virtual black markets is effectively what they are, at least. So let's get into it. So talking about DNMs, the first DNM that comes to mind for me anyway is White House Market, which White House is currently shut down. The admins said that they had retired from the business. I guess they made a lot of money or something, and decided to ride off into the sunset and retire. But since the White House market is the one I have the most experience with, I'm going to talk mainly about that, though there are similarities with basically every market. The basic idea of any DNM, any darknet market, is that they primarily exist to sell, illegal contraband type items. It varies. Each market tends to more heavily lean to one particular type of products, like drugs or stolen credit cards or things like that. Some of them are kind of more general, where they have a mix of everything. Some of them focus just on one category or another. It just depends on the market. And contrary to what you might think, these aren't like, no holds bar, sell anything type of places. There are things that they will not allow to be sold. There are rules. I mean, this isn't, I don't know. It isn't no holds bar here. You do have things. Each market will have a list of things that they consider, unacceptable to them, that even they won't sell. One thing that popped up, I want to say around 18 months ago, 2 years ago, is many markets stopped the sale of fentanyl. And I guess obvious reasons there is safety, and it really was causing a lot of problems. But so most markets that I'm aware of, at least, will not sell fentanyl. You cannot buy fentanyl on there. And in addition, most markets, it seems, do not sell firearms or ammunition or things of that sort, which I do find rather interesting. I mean, they sell cocaine by the kilogram, but they won't sell you a gun. Slightly ironic. But the markets, at least the ones that I know of, like Hydra, most of the current markets, I should say, as I said, White House is gone. The other market I was somewhat familiar with, Empire, is likewise gone. But the ones that are currently active, like Hydra, for instance, is probably the largest one. Mostly it's drugs. I mean, that's the vast majority of what is bought and sold on there are various types of drugs, from, things like opiates to, cocaine or what have you. Methamphetamines are soon to be pretty big. And another major thing that is bought and sold on these markets is, people's stolen private information, various, packages that you can buy that may just have their name and date of birth or something, or more elaborate packages might be their full, it's actually literally called a FULZ, FULLZ, meaning that it includes their name, date of birth, social security number. In most cases, a FULZ will include a driver's license number or ID number, and address, and other personal details that have been usually stolen from like some sort of database breach and whatnot. That's actually mostly it. I mean, if you want to know what's about roughly 90% of all of the products bought or sold on at least every market that I am familiar with, which is most of them, is basically drugs or stolen private information. There are a few. I remember on White House there were some amount of physical products that you can buy. So of course, if you're buying drugs, it would be a physical product. What I meant more is hardware related in terms of computer hardware, bugs, for instance. You wanted to spy on someone, or bug detectors for that matter. Also, one interesting thing that a vendor had on White House at one point was it was basically an iPhone, but the vendor claimed that the iPhone had been assembled from parts that were basically sold out the back door of these factories over in China, where the actual real iPhones are made, and then loaded with a sort of like pirated version of Apple's own iOS. They claimed it can receive over-the-air updates, which I highly question that part, but anyhow. And the, I guess, advantage here of, having this sort of bootlegged iPhone was, there was a number of advantages. The first one is that you can have a lot more control over your device, akin to if you had jailbroken an actual iPhone, for instance, but even greater control over the security and the anonymity that was in place. Another thing was that there was a sort of panic mode on the phone where, if, I guess if you were arrested or something, you can enter a certain combination of buttons. I imagine it involved probably, pressing a sequence of the power, probably volume up, volume down, power button, and so forth, to activate this panic mode, which would wipe all the data on your phone. That pretty much rounds it out, what is going to be on most markets. That's most products on most markets. Like I said, the vast majority of what I've seen so far is basically drugs, and then most of the rest of it is going to be stolen private information. I guess it goes without saying, but I don't advise you to go onto these markets or to shop on these markets. Please don't. It's just generally not a good idea. You're opening yourself up to a lot of risk, and I know people have made videos here on YouTube, about buying these dark web mystery boxes. First of all, they're probably not really ordering them from an actual darknet market, an actual DNM. I highly doubt it anyway. First of all, I've never seen a mystery box on any of these DNMs, not the real ones, the real DNMs, I should say. I've seen mystery boxes and crap like that on eBay. I have not seen them for sale ever on a DNM. So these YouTubers are probably full of crap. I mean, maybe I'm wrong and I'm the one full of crap, but they're probably full of crap. Anyhow, so one thing I probably should have mentioned at the beginning of the video is, so these DNMs that I've been talking about, where are they? Are they just on the internet someplace? Well, they're on the internet, but they're not, of course, on the World Wide Web, as you might imagine, for very obvious reasons. Most of them are going to be on the Tor network. Some of them will also exist on other dark nets, and I do have a video where I explain more about the different types of dark nets. But for instance, I've talked about White House a lot, White House Market in this video a lot. They mainly operated on Tor, but they also had a mirror on I2P, or aka the Invisible Internet Project, which is probably the second most popular darknet after, of course, the Tor network, which is by far the largest darknet. And that's where most of these markets are going to operate, is on the Tor network. And I mean, as far as, how do they run the day-to-day? Well, basically, they're going to have product listings. They're going to have, you're going to click on a product. It's going to be, there's going to be like a buy it now type of option. It's really going to look and feel quite a lot like eBay, strangely enough. And the difference is what you're buying on there, and also the currency that you are using. So if you were, say, on eBay or Amazon or any other online, regular market, you're going to be given the option to use, if it's eBay, PayPal, or credit card, debit card, gift card, etc. You're going to be given those kinds of options. Of course, you don't have the PayPal option on places like Amazon, But at any rate, you're going to be given, most of us are probably going to, use a debit or credit card. On darknet markets, on DNMs, it's actually quite different because nowhere on any DNM can you use a debit or credit card. And basically the payments are going to always be using a cryptocurrency. Originally, the heavy favorite was Bitcoin, though that is passing out of favor because of advances that have been made by various law enforcement agencies to trace Bitcoin transactions, and the basically the scrutiny, the high level of scrutiny that has been on Bitcoin because it was used for many illegal transactions, including transactions originating on darknet markets. So many DNMs now are offering the option to use other types of cryptocurrency, namely Monero. I do recall that White House had actually made it required to use Monero. They at one point stopped accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment, requiring Monero for transactions on their market. Other markets, no doubt, are following suit on that. In the future, I would like to make a video talking explicitly about cryptocurrencies and Monero in particular. But for now, let's just say Monero transactions are end-to-end encrypted. It is not possible to know, who it's coming from, who it's going to, the transaction amount, nothing. And that right there, just gives you a whole lot more security than just regular old Bitcoin would. So, in fact, the IRS, now that I think of it, the IRS, I recall, was putting out a bounty. They may still be offering this bounty, I'm not sure, to, it was $1 million for someone who could develop a way to trace Monero transactions. And I happen to think that if they're offering that kind of money, $1 million, that's still a lot, even in 2022, then they obviously have no idea how to trace it, or they wouldn't be offering the bounty to begin with. But also, there's cause for them to think that a lot of people are turning to Monero, for transactions that are less than honest or otherwise just plain illegal, which is interesting, to say the least. But we'll talk about that in a future video. I think for now, that pretty well rounds out what darknet markets are, what the DNMs are, what they aren't. And what they aren't is places to buy mystery boxes and places you should approach casually, and really probably don't need to approach them at all and shop on there at all, because they're not going to sell the kind of things that you might think they are. They're not just, you're not going to log on there and see a whole bunch of, fully automatic rifles and mystery boxes. And no, there are some markets out there, no doubt, that sell firearms, but as I mentioned earlier in this video, the vast majority will not sell you a firearm. And I have never, ever seen a mystery box ever on any of the dozen or so darknet markets that I have researched. So with that, I'm signing out, and I will catch you all on the next video. Thanks for watching.